What's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming back to another episode of Teslamonial. Today's video is a fun one because I'm going to be showing you how I was able to install an aftermarket subwoofer and amplifier into the trunk well of my Tesla 2023 Model 3 rear-wheel drive by adapting the Hansshow wire harness that I installed last week that activates those front speakers on the A-pillar. If you don't already know, sometime after 2020, Tesla stopped offering premium audio to anybody who's a brokey like me and you with the rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3. But I found a way to upgrade and get those speakers activated by installing a Hansshow wire harness. If you don't know about it, just Google it, watch my last video. You have to watch that video if you want to do what we're doing today, because I used that harness and I tapped into the audio signal by using some T-taps so that I could send that audio signal to the trunk of the Model 3 and install my own amplifier and sub. I did have a sub laying around in my garage that I used first, and I tested it all out to make sure that it worked, and then I did some research to find the perfect sub to go inside of the trunk well of your Model 3. Let me show you. Alright, so what I've got here is the Kicker PT250 base station. And if you've already got a subwoofer and amplifier, this tutorial will still work for you, but I like this particular unit for a lot of reasons. Mainly though because of its size. 21 inches by 15 inches by 10 inches, and it fits perfectly into the sub-trunk area. It's also got a built-in amplifier, and that just makes life a lot easier because it's one less thing I had to wire, one less thing I had to buy, and one less thing that can go wrong. This amplifier has an easy disconnect port with a wire harness that comes included with the kit. That way, if I ever needed to disconnect this and take it out of the sub-trunk area, I just pop this harness out and I'm good to go. Better yet, this one activates as soon as it senses the audio signal being sent to it, and it's got a remote bass control knob that I can plug in here and run to the front of the vehicle for easy bass control. Let's just get it popped into the ride. Nothing like a good old-fashioned fast-forwarded unboxing video. Just take that thing out of the box and make sure it fits in the sub-trunk. Perfect fit. Now we're going to take a look at the wire harness that comes with the kit and plug it in. It's got everything we need. All we really need though is power, ground, and audio signal. Next, once it's plugged in, let's just put everything back into place and I'll show you how to hook up the rest. I cut off the excess length from the wires on the wire harness because I had already run audio and power to the sub-trunk area. Let me show you how I did that. I had to pull audio signal by modifying part of this Hansshow wire harness that's originally intended to activate the front speakers in the Model 3. It does the job well. This is the one with the infamous black clip on it. You gotta watch my video. But if you take a look, their harness has these red and white wires on this side. I had to take the tape off to expose this part, but if you look at it, you'll see it. These two wires are what I tapped into. The one I'm tapping on top is the positive, and the one below is the negative. Take a good look at where these are. That's going to be really important for getting the signal. But you tap into those and you run the speaker wire all the way back to the sub-trunk area, and let me just show you how I did that. Once you've reinserted the Hansshow wire harness, once again, go watch that last video, you're going to tuck in the speaker wires alongside this rubber seal trim piece, and then you're going to route the wires around this plastic piece towards the rear seat of the vehicle. Now we're taking a look at how we hook up the power to the amplifier. This is a positive terminal on what they refer to as the penthouse, and there's also a negative, or ground I should say, port there as well. Red positive, black for the ground. We're going to hook those up by taking the nuts off and using some little connectors and connecting the wires. This is my speaker wire, and this is just how I routed it around the trim pieces all the way from where we were just a moment ago. Take those wires, make sure that they get routed cleanly inside beneath the rear seat, and they all tuck back underneath the rear seat's back panel piece right here. We're going to fold the seat down, and I'm going to show you how I routed those wires to the sub-trunk. Right around this little corner area, and you can hide all these better than I did. You tuck them in beneath that little spot, and you run the wires directly to the sub-trunk. This is where I made all the proper connections. I used some wire nuts and electrical tape. You can do it however you want. This was just what I had lying around, but I connected the ground and the positive, and then I grabbed the white wire from the amplifier's wire harness. The one with the black line is the positive. Make sure you're doing your connections the right way. I took all that and I got it cinched up, and I put electrical tape around the bottom so it wouldn't come apart. This little side panel you can just pull up. It's Velcroed into place, and I found some space in there, and I thought that might be a good place to put all the wire nuts so that everything stayed out of the way. But I got an even better idea, at least I think so. I made a little cut on the inside of the sub-trunk area, and I rerouted the wires down into that little section. I went ahead and just pulled the side trim level up and tucked everything in through that little spot, and I just cut with a little razor knife. But I did realize that I forgot to run the sub-base control knob wire, so I had to pull this panel back up and reach my hand down there and reroute that wire. So this is what it looks like with the wire now inserted. That's the sub-control line, and I took that wire and I routed it upwards here and alongside the trim, just like I did with the other wires, and I had to route it all the way back to that rear seat area underneath the floor mats. So this is the ugly wires. I just covered it up with the floor mats, and I took that same other end of the control knob and had to run it up towards the front of the vehicle so that I could control the base. So this is where the floor mats are in the rear. And one of the only things I'm not happy with is that the wire just kind of dangles around underneath here until I found a way to bring it upwards right here and pop it into the trim piece. I just kind of wish I could hide that a little bit better. But I ran this all the way under. This is easy. You just pop it under this trim piece. I had to run it under this little cup thing that I have. That's where I keep my pepper spray gun. You should get one of these things, I'm telling you. People hate Tesla drivers. Anyways, this is where the base control knob goes, and I can control my base. It's brilliant. I mounted the base control knob with some double-sided sticky 3M tape that I had laying around the house. Things like command strips could work as well, but I'm sure you'll find a way to figure this out for yourself. So here's the settings I used. You're first going to want to make sure that this switch up top is turned over to the DC side, and that's what allows this to activate as soon as it receives the audio signal. I set it to the high input because technically that's what we're sending it, and I did not flip the phase switch. If you want to research phase for yourself, go for it. Gain, I just set right up at the top, 6 o'clock. I went over to my crossover setting though. I actually really like when I have some of those higher low-end frequencies sent to the sub. So that's what I did. I cranked this all the way over to the 120 side, and I put the bass boost at like this option right here. I didn't really feel like I needed more than that. I mean, this thing is out of control even with me at the mid-level. That's your remote bass input, that's a fuse, and that is of course the socket for your wire harness. Here's a snapshot of how I'm setting my equalizer for now. You might have a different way that you prefer, but I like to set it up with a maxed out 8 dB on the very lowest sub frequencies, 5 dBs on the notch below that, 3 dBs in the mid-range, 1 dB in the mid-highs, and then 0 on the full high. This is so that I can send all of the lowest sub-frequencies to the subwoofer. Your equalizer does still have an effect on how your subwoofer puts out the bass. You want to make sure that it's getting the appropriate signal so that it can boost those. A lot of people will just boost the highs and let the subwoofer's control knob handle the lows, but it won't be getting the types of frequencies that you are really looking for. I'm looking for actual bass lines to be included in the subwoofer and not just the kick drum. To each their own. It's all going to depend on what style of music you listen to. Try it out and tell me what works best for you. I still found some room to put my mobile connector inside the sub trunk next to the box, and I thought that was a good idea because I pretty much never use the mobile connector and it's only for emergencies, and it helps keep the box from sliding around. I also put some Velcro on the underside of the box to keep it in place a little bit better too. Time to pop that lid on and get the cargo mat in place, and you're all done. Thanks for watching my video, everybody. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments for me. If you installed this by watching my video, let me know. That really does put a smile on my face every single time. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe below. My channel is brand new. I'm begging for subscribers, but I'm going to be putting out a lot of content just like this. I'm getting better every single day. Give me a chance, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.